Hey, everybody, welcome back to the Experts Game podcast. Tonight, we've got a fantastic guest in the house with us, and I am excited about this. Tonight's guest is Alayna Zenger, and she is a rising digital creator, owning a couple of businesses herself, some that she has started and maybe have spanned their test of time. But one of the things that I found very interesting about her on one of her sites is that she used this motto: more time, more scale, more impact, and more success. So I'll tell you a little bit about her right now, but I want her to introduce herself as well. But knowing Alayna over the past year or so, she has been living in multiple states as part of a bucket list experiment that she's been doing. She's participated in the first ever Running Man event that's hosted by Jesse Itzler and All Day Running Company. She's getting ready to ride a tandem bike across the entire state of Iowa. That's 424 miles, I believe. She's a great dancer. I think she's a fantastic cook. I haven't had any of her food yet, but I see her recipes online, and she's setting herself up to live to be 150 years old. And she's done all of this while she's still in her 20s. One thing I do know about Alayna is that she's all in all the time. And I want to welcome tonight to the podcast my friend Alayna Zenger. How are you doing tonight?
Wow, what an intro. Thank you so much. I really appreciate you taking the time to put that together and just learn all of that about my life. It's amazing. Thank you so much. I'm so
Well,
excited to be here.
I think over the past year or so that we've known each other, I've been very excited about some of these things that you're doing because um, there's a big age difference here. I'm old enough to be your parent, plus maybe a few years. I'm probably older than your parents. And I don't feel like it. That's what's even great about this. I feel like I'm still, in my 20s and 30s. So some of the things that I'm seeing you do, especially when I saw you do Running Man, and I think a lot of people probably have no clue what Running Man is and stuff. But I've been following a guy named Jesse Itzler for a good many years, and he started this company called All Day Running Company. And Running Man was just one of the events. He also does an event called 2029,
29029, yeah.
yeah, something like that. But it's basically climbing. It's the distance that it would take to climb certain mountains, and stuff. And I've just been really intrigued by that, along with some of his great running buddies, like a guy named Chad Wright, and watching things like Last Man Standing. So when you came up and said, "Hey, I'm doing Running Man," it just kind of, I knew I wasn't going to do it. So it just kind of let me live it through you a little bit. So I am excited to hear some things from you tonight. And I don't even really know where to start other than, um, I mean, you're in your 20s still, right?
Yeah,
So
23.
yeah. So it's not like you've had that long of a life. Uh,
It's true. I haven't been here for that long.
I've been here double that. I turned 51 at the end of this week, which is
Congrats. That's
you know
exciting.
kind of amazing. But I want to live to be like you. I want to live 150, to
Let's go.
150, or at least I've always said 100, but what's 50 more years? I mean, it should be great.
You could totally do
So
it.
tell us a
Tack on
little
those
bit.
50 years.
Yeah. Tell us a little bit of maybe, high school and college. What prompted you, or what kind of got you started in this idea of becoming an entrepreneur?
Ooh, this is a great question. So I grew up homeschooled. So my mom homeschooled me and my five other siblings all the way from when we started school as kindergartners till graduating high school as a homeschooler. And then I went to 2 semesters of college and decided that that wasn't the path anymore. And that's where my college journey ended. I think how I got into entrepreneurship within that time frame was just being surrounded by some people who were doing it themselves. So my ballroom coach, I was really big into ballroom at the time. I did ballroom dancing for 13 years, went professionally in it as well. And my ballroom coach was getting into Russell Brunson, and he was getting into building his own online business around the time when I was 16, 17, that time frame. And I remember sitting in the ballroom studio, and I wasn't even talking to my coach. I think I was talking to somebody else, and I was just like, I just really don't want to work for anybody else. I just kind of I want to work for myself. And he was in the lobby at that point, and he's like, Alayna, let me tell you something. Let me show you what I'm doing. And after that conversation, I think like a couple days after, an ad popped up on my phone for Russell Brunson's Expert Secrets book, and it was free. He was doing his free plus shipping offer, and I had never seen anybody do that before. Like nobody had ever willingly like given me a book for free. And I love the hard copy books. I love getting something physical, and so I was like, he's giving this book away for free, and my coach just talked about him. Like this is crazy. I got to get his book. And so I got his book. And that's where the online journey really started. But if I think back even earlier than that, I had done some businesses without even realizing it earlier than that. My older sister had started a bread business. My mom had taken all this time to really like craft the perfect whole wheat bread recipe for our family. And so my older sister had started selling it to the neighbors, didn't want to do it anymore. And she's like, hey, you can do it if you want. And so that was like my first business that I did, was I would sell these bread loaves to all the neighbors, and I'd run around and put flyers and go and pass samples out and make all these loaves. And it actually went pretty well. Like I was making over the holidays specifically like 60 to 80 loaves a week of just like getting all these people out. And I had an oven that would only cook 5 loaves at a time. And so it was like I was spending so much time making all this bread. And so that was like my first little thing. And then getting into summer during the high school season, like ages 15, 16, 17, my sister and I would wash windows for people. And so we just bought some little like window cleaning stuff, and we would wash people's windows during summer. And so that was another way that we did that as well. And so looking at kind of my whole journey growing up, I never really had a traditional job in any sort of way. It was just always trying to find something new, try something new. And it's always been that way ever since.
Yeah, I think that really answers one of my questions that I was going to ask about do you think has made you successful in what you do? And I think you just really explained it. You know, a lot of entrepreneurs have the DNA.
Mm,
You know, it's just in us. I remember that I officially kind of started my first business when I was 12 years old.
yep.
And before that, maybe, maybe trading a few baseball cards and things like that before that. But my grandfather helped me with firewood. We would cut up firewood every year. And as a 12-year-old, I'm making $1,000 at Christmas time. That's a lot of
Yeah.
money, you know,
Yeah.
and I was just so enthusiastic about that. I guess I knew that I never wanted to really do anything else. I always wanted to work for myself.
Right.
And that's not saying that I have always worked for myself. I've worked for a few other people as well. But I remember one time I had a supervisor tell me that I pretty much needed to make my own way because I was going to have a hard time working for anybody else.
Yeah.
He saw that in me, even though I worked fine with him. Um, Tell me a little bit about this dancing. I mean, this was a pretty big deal. You guys were professionals, right?
Yes, yeah, it was. It was really big. So I started ballroom dancing when I was 8. It was a thing that my older sister did. If any of you guys have siblings, like if you're younger siblings, you oftentimes tend to look up to your older siblings and are like, whatever they're doing, That's the thing. That's the cool thing. I need to be doing that too. And that was my mindset. And so she started ballroom and I was like, okay, I got to start this too. And so I started when I was 8 and just essentially did it from that point, all the way until, oh man, 2021. Yeah, 2021 is when I stopped. And throughout that time, I really got serious with it when I was 14 years old, going like, I want to be good. I want to be good. I want to compete. I want to really like stand out among the couples and do well. And that was when I really started to take it to the next level. And it went very similar to how you would think an intense ballroom or dance sport would be, right? You're in the studio for 4 hours a day. You're taking all these lessons. You're getting all of the costumes, just literally anything, any free time, any spare time was spent dancing, thinking about dancing, doing dancing. And yeah, just continuing that all the way up until going pro in it for a little bit. And I did have the opportunity. There's a lot of teaching opportunities for teaching students and being at studios and things like that. I did have that opportunity be presented to me in 2021, where I could have moved out, lived in Vegas, and taught at a studio and had my own students and everything like that. And that was and compete professionally with a partner there as well. And so that was an option for me, but I decided after kind of being in there and going and trying it out for a week, it was just like, I don't think this is the route that I want to go, because ultimately I do love dancing. But ultimately it's still a form of trading time for money and just not the route that I wanted to go.
Yeah, wow, that really says a lot because you really have to enjoy what you're doing. And
Yeah.
that's one thing that I've learned about you over the years, and is that everything that you do, I mean, I feel like you enjoy it. You're doing it because you like to do it.
Yeah.
And I see things that you and Austin do. Um,
August, my boyfriend.
August, I said Austin.
You were really close. You were
I
really
was
close.
A, right. So I
I know
see things
they're
that
both A's.
you and August do together, and I'm like, gosh, they're having so much fun.
Yeah.
And I think that's a really good lesson for a lot of business owners, that you really have to have fun in what you're
Yeah.
doing. Matter of fact, I've got a call here in about an hour and a half that that's going to be one of our focuses tonight.
Mm,
Have fun, the fish philosophy, go out and do things that you enjoy all the time. Okay,
yeah.
so you mentioned Russell Brunson. I think that's where we kind of connected, even though it wasn't official. We connected through another business coach, but it's all in that same group. Matter of fact, there's Expert Secrets
I
right
was like, I
here,
see your books right there.
and I probably have. Gosh, I think I've got like 4 of these back here.
Oh, I got
Uh,
those. I think I got 2 of those.
so I have been learning from Russell for a long time. And yeah, that free book was pretty amazing, to
Yeah.
get that. And I read .com Secrets first and then went over to Expert Secrets, and actually promoted and did a little bit with Traffic Secrets, which
Oh,
I thought was
nice.
pretty cool. I've got an old podcast on that. But there's so much knowledge there. And
Yeah,
I think once you read those, you kind of want to get into that
very much so.
arena where you're just helping other people. Right now you're doing a lot of different things, but what would you say, if you could, would be your average workday? Do you have one?
Oh, like in terms of what I do from when I wake up to when I go to sleep.
Yeah.
Okay, let's see. My average workday, I always try to prioritize some sort of exercise. And so right now, since we are training for that big bike ride, we are doing a lot of training on the bike. And so that's going to be first 2 hours of the morning, like training on the bike. And then I'm also doing the gym. I personally am one that loves the gym. I like being able to go in and lift the equipment and the smell of it, and just I like being there. And so I'll do either a gym session or go and ride the bike with my boyfriend, since we're on a tandem. And so that's always a really important thing. Something that I didn't mention though is I wake up without an alarm. That's something that's actually very, very important to me. all through high school, and this is very typical for any teenager in America, is it's always you got to get up early for school. You gotta, have an alarm. You're waking up at 5, 6. You have to get homework done. You got to get to school. All these things. And even though I was homeschooled, it was still like we still got to get up and going. And I've been doing a lot of research on sleep lately because I'm trying to live longer. And you need sleep. You need a lot of sleep, and it's very, very important. And so there was just a point in time where I was like, I'm done. I'm done trying to force my body to wake up when it's not ready to wake up. And so I let myself sleep for however long I want to sleep. And what's crazy is that it wakes up at the same time every time now without an alarm, which is wild that happened that way. But that's something that's really important to me. And then after that point, really it's all work stuff until probably 7, 8, 9 at night. And so I'm doing client fulfillment stuff since that's one of my businesses where I help people deliver and do client experience and customer experience with small business owners. And so I work with those people and I do a lot of client fulfillment on that side of things. And then building the podcast business with August, we're doing a lot of warm outreach, messaging. We're doing a lot of content right now. So that's normally what the day is going to be allotted to. I obviously take breaks in between for lunch and dinner, like to go out on walks. And then in the evening time, I normally will wind down either learning about some topic or planning and budgeting for some trip that I want to go on or do. So these past couple months, it's been budgeting for RAGBRAI, which is the biking across Iowa, making sure that everything logistically is set up for that. Planning, we're moving to Arizona in 2 weeks. And so getting that figured out, we're going to try and do our first international trip to London. So just budgeting and learning and doing those things at night. And then I'll go to bed. So that's how it looks normally on a normal day.
I think everybody listening right now is just saying, "Gosh, I wish I was Alayna. I wish, this is fantastic." All of the things I think there's a lot of us that you're not included because you are living it, and I think that's fantastic. But I think a lot of us, a lot of people, put off these things until later, and they say, "Oh, we'll just do it, maybe when we retire, or we'll travel when we're a little bit older and we have
Right.
security and safety and all this other stuff." And we end up missing out. So a lot of us listening are probably really envious of your life right now because this is great. I want to hear a little bit about those businesses. You talked about them a little bit, but if you were selling us on your businesses tonight, I mean, what would you tell us about what you do and how you can help people?
Yes, thank you for that question. So my first business, it's called Your Client Success, and it is aimed to helping small online businesses that primarily focus on doing coaching. So businesses that are doing business coaching, life coaching, leadership coaching, anything where they have online programs and online education, I help them make their client experience 10 times better through automation, through check-ins, through accountability, through support and customer service, and just essentially elevate their entire business. So then the business owner is freed up to focus on their marketing, to focus on their selling, to making the business more predictable, and their clients are still being delivered at a very high and being supported at a very high level. And so that is the first business that I do. And I started that back in 2021. And then the second business is fairly new. We launched in January of 2024, so this year. And it's me and my boyfriend's business that we launched together. And we're helping people launch their podcasts. So specifically people who have always wanted to start a podcast, but haven't yet. And they've been like, I want to do it. I want to do it. And we help them get it launched in 14 days. We're very gung ho. Like, you've been putting this off for forever. Let's get it launched. And then we help them stay consistent with it through post-production services. So helping them repurpose the content, get their episodes out there, because we both know having podcasts that it can be easy to get off your schedule.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. I know that I have had some downtime with this podcast over the years. I actually started it many, many years ago, but took a little bit of time off, and now I'm trying to be very consistent with a monthly guest, and I do a lot of other things with coaching and things like that as well. But I think that's exciting. I think there's a lot of people who could definitely use those services, both businesses. And if you're watching, you're trying to figure out how to get in touch with Alayna. All her information will be, down in the description below. Okay, so I know we're on limited time tonight, and I'm glad I got to hear about those businesses. Tell me real quick, is there one thing that you want to share that other people have no idea that you do? One thing that you can think of. We've talked about the biking, we've talked a little bit about the dancing. Is there something else that maybe you just really enjoy doing that maybe nobody knows about or not too many
Ooh,
people know about?
that nobody know that not too many people know about. I post a lot of what I do on social, so a lot of people know what I do, but maybe more on the gaming side of things is not a piece that I share too much about, but I do enjoy the occasional video game. There's one video game in particular that I'll play quite often. It's called League of Legends, and I like it because I get to play with my siblings who live across the country, so that's a way for us to stay connected. But it's also just a really competitive game, and it's really hard to do, and so it requires a lot of skill. I am not good. I am not good at it, but it's fun to have a place where you could go and be competitive and just kind of get that energy out and go, yeah, like I just want to beat people. I just want to be good. And I just want to, I just want to like win this game. And so there is a side to me that really does enjoy video games, just the gaming community, the gaming aspect of things, and definitely want to get more into it in terms of potentially doing some streaming on that side of things. But yeah, I think that's something that most people don't know about me off the top of my off like the top of their head, just because it's something I don't share a lot about.
Yeah, so I think I kind of set you up for that one. We hadn't talked about it in advance, but I knew that's what your answer was going to be.
You
And
did?
I did. And I wanted to ask a specific question about it. So I'm glad you kind of talked about it. One thing that I saw you do this past year is you went to this arena, this stadium for this event. And I'm like, this has got to be the coolest event ever. And it was a gaming event. So tell me about that.
Yes. So esports are a
Mhm.
really big thing. And their most competitive games are going to have a professional league where people compete. And you go and you can watch tournaments and things like that. And so me, August, and then my younger brother are super into league. And so being over on the East Coast, we saw that one of the major tournaments for the North American region was happening in Jersey, and we were living in Vermont at the time. So we're like, oh, we could easily just make the drive down to Jersey. We could go and see this thing. And what's really cool is that it was in a hockey arena. So it's in one of these big hockey stadiums, and they had obviously like covered up the ice. They'd put the stages on, and on the big screen, the jumbotron is where that you saw the video game. So you have the players sitting on the court, and they're all with their computers because it's a league is a 5v5 game, so you got five on one team, five on another team, and then we're all watching it up on the big jumbotron where you normally see the scoreboard and the highlights for a hockey game. And people are wild at those events. They are just in it. We were there were cosplayers. That's a big deal. Just a lot of like conventions, and different companies were there promoting their different products, and the gaming itself was just really cool. And so we're aiming to go to the world's tournament, which is like for the entire world that competing in this game, and that's where we're going to go to London to see.
Wow. Wow. I didn't know that's what you were going to London for, but I'm glad I asked that question. I kind of set you up. If you'd said something completely different from gaming, we would have still went back to it. Um, for those of you that are wondering, what in the heck are they talking about? This is a big deal. As a matter of fact, you probably know that I teach not just in small business world, but I also teach a few curriculum courses for a local college. And some of my students in the past 2 years have been e-gamers. They have scholarships that's how they got to this college, off of a
That's so
scholarship,
cool.
and they compete against scholarships, believe it or not, because unfortunately last year somebody left the team to go to a bigger school because I guess they
They
competed.
got a better offer.
They got a better offer. Um, so
It's crazy.
I find that
It
really, really interesting. Elaine, I've had a great time tonight. I've learned a lot of stuff about you. I've got one final question. And we've got people that may want to start a podcast. They may want to be a business coach. They may want to do a lot of different things. What's one tip that you can tell them in your 23 years that you have learned that will help them kind of forego some of the problems that they might be encountering to begin with?
This is a really great question. I would say something that applies to both podcasting and customer fulfillment, running your own business, coaching business, whatever, um, is that you have to be prepared to go at it for the long term. And it's not something that's just a get rich quick type of thing, get a lot of followers type of thing. Podcasts take a long time to build, businesses take a long time to build. And I think they're better viewed as games to play rather than things to win. Because when you're trying to win something, it's assuming that there's an end date. There's a point in when you stop, meaning you win, you get the trophy, you stop doing the thing, right? You stop working on yourself, you stop growing with whatever you're growing. And no matter how big your podcast gets, no matter how much your money, business your money makes, there's always another level to unlock within yourself, to achieve that personal growth within the business, within the podcast. And you really only get there when you're playing the game to play the game rather than to win the game.
Oh, that's great. That is fantastic. I'm gonna have to ask you to maybe come back again because I want to dive into that topic that you just mentioned on personal development. I think
Ooh,
a
yes.
lot start that, and I think there's a lot that people can learn from you on that. So, with that being said, I know you got to run, and I appreciate you being here tonight. Thank you so much for this wonderful episode. I know people are going to get a great amount of knowledge out of that, and I can't wait to make it live. So, thanks again, Alayna. I
Thank
appreciate
you so much. This was great. I really enjoyed being on here today.
Okay, guys, if you are interested in any of our other videos, please make sure you like and subscribe to this channel. And we'll be putting out something every month. So I appreciate you guys being here and hope everyone has a wonderful rest of your day.